perfect sense to go up there. Just like we went to Chicago a couple of years ago and played in the United Center. That's something that we'll look at on an individual basis, and that was great for our fans down there. Playing Cincinnati, it's a marquee game. It's an opportunity to take your team down there where your fans are, and it's a national TV game. Yeah, that's what you're looking at as well. So there's a lot of factors involved, but it starts with the professionalism with the people that run events up in that facility.
I think I heard on your radio show your team got boosters after the game on Friday. So it doesn't seem like
we had an opportunity. What we did was we spread it out over a couple days because it was made available on Friday. We played Thursday. It was made available on Friday. A bunch of guys did it. Some guys wanted to wait through the weekend because they had whatever they had exam-wise or whatever they were doing. So we gave them the flexibility, So by today, everybody's done. Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be you guys are all pro. Seems like, wanting to be 100%. That was the game of the summer.
Yeah, it's been like that from the beginning. We've not had any issues, and we get our team vaccinated, and obviously we're in a great position to do that with the hospital right here and the accessibility, and it's been good for us so far. And we'll continue to operate that way.
Utah State, new coach, but they seem to just keep playing really well at that level.
Well, it's like anything else. Ryan's a terrific coach. He brought two of his best players with him. The kid Bean's as good as anybody we'll face all year long. He's tremendous. So it's a veteran team. They got some transfers, and they've got some veteran guys. Really share the ball, move the ball. They got multiple shooters. Everybody understands how to play. They got the transfer from Kid Jones from Utah. So again, it's like when you schedule a game like this, well, any game anymore, you really don't know who you're going to face till the season starts. But I think we all knew they would be good. Really good coach, really good players, and it's an excellent program. With a great fan base.
Brad, how much of this week is an opportunity for you guys to kind of work on what you've seen from your team this week, as opposed to just getting ready for another game?
I think that's really critical. It kind of always is. I think even if we had not lost a couple games in a row, you have 8 days off. You're gonna kind of get back to okay, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what do we need to improve on, both collectively and individually. Maybe you have a guy who's struggling a little bit. You try to get him going. Maybe our motion game isn't working. Our press is whatever's not working. You try to work on it. You have time, because sometimes when the games come quick, you're focused on the next game plan. Okay, we got to deal with Travion. We got to deal with Brockington, whoever, and sometimes you just go back to what do we have to do to be better and get better and build confidence.
What do you see in a point guard right now? There was a stretch the other day where Jordan was seemingly around, or maybe Tony was. I couldn't tell, but Aaron and Joe both on the bench. With both those guys, I guess just overall big picture.
We have a lot of options at that position. I'm not going to make any changes in terms of who's starting. I'm comfortable with that with those guys, but as the game goes on, as different things happen, you try different combinations. We did have Jabo in there at the point for a little bit. I'm very comfortable with Joe, with Aaron. You put Jabo in there, it gives you more flexibility to play Tony and Peyton. And then, we have Connor can play that position as well. So, we're pretty well stocked at that position, and I trust all those guys. They've all proven that they can do it.
Overall, it doesn't seem like you're a person that changed starting lineups much. What is kind of your philosophy on starting lineups typically? Seems like you like the consistency. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think those guys have played well. They've played well together. I have more flexibility probably with this team than I've had with some of the other teams in terms of, If they're not playing well at any given time and another group clicks, you know, we leave them out there. You know, I've started that other group in the second half. You know, I'm not saying I would never change the starting lineup. That's always a possibility. But it always seems real dramatic, and it's not really that necessary. You know, everybody puts a lot more emphasis on it than they probably should. You know, those guys are all going to play a lot of minutes each, and they deserve to play a lot of minutes. And
how have you diagnosed or addressed rebounding?
well, obviously, it's been addressed. It doesn't take much to diagnose. I mean, you just look at the numbers. I mean, they're right there in front of you. So, I mean, it's not been good. So, you know, is there a challenge to the guys? And again, it's a collective thing. It's not, okay, my 3, 4s, and 5s have to do a better job reading, which they do. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, everybody that's out there has to do a better job rebounding, and we have to make sure we're not leaking because we like to run. You know, how many are they sending to the glass? Some teams will send 4, some teams will send 1, and they'll drop 4, they'll drop 3. So for us, you know, we just have to keep them all in there and until we get the ball back, and then we can run.
You always hear rebounding and effort. Is that fair? Is it always just usually effort, the lack of effort?
There's a little bit of technique involved, but it's more effort than technique. You know, I mean, like John Wooden always said, you know, he told his guys never to box out. Just go get the ball. You know, now he had the best players, so maybe that was not a bad way to go. But at the same time, you know, I think boxing out is probably overrated because more teams shoot 30-plus threes in a game now. So the ball's bouncing all over the place. So if you don't get those long rebounds or those long loose balls and the 50-50 balls, you know, that's all reflected in your rebounding numbers. You know, you might have, you know, Phillip and Keegan blocking out to perfection. The ball bounces over their head and lands near the top of the key, and they scoop it up and shoot a 3. So, you know, I think the guys have to know and understand that. You still want to get a body on somebody if you can, but at some point you got to pursue the basketball. You know, the whole idea that I'm going to box out and keep you on my back the entire possession. No, I'm going to get you there, and then I'm going to go get the ball. That's what has to be done.
How frustrating can offensive rebounding be on a defense?
Well, it varies because it keeps you on defense for a very long period of time. It's like the old days, you know, when I was playing, you know, teams would keep you on defense. There's no clock, you know, so you don't want to be on defense for any more than 30 seconds if you don't have to be. Sometimes you have to be on it for a minute and a half or more. And it's tough, you know, and it increases their ability to score. And a lot of times, the second shot leads to an easier shot. It might be a putback, but typically it's a kick-out, wide-open 3. You know, broken play 3.
I assume you weren't surprised by Rutgers beating Purdue? Is that just how the Big Ten's going to be this year?
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers has a good team. You know, they had a couple of games where they didn't play well. But, you know, Steve's a really good coach. I mean, you got veteran team. You know, Gio was out for, you know, he's a big part of that team. So they struggled a little bit when he was out. He's back. You got Harper. I mean, you got McConnell. You got Mulcahy. I mean, Cliff is a really good player. You know, you don't know as much about him because Johnson played most of the time last year, but Cliff was a big-time get, and he's a sophomore, and he's coming around. So, I mean, that team is good. So, you know, really good team in our league wins at home. I don't think anybody's surprised.
How's Keegan progressing with his ankle? Better?
Pretty good. Yeah, you know, he's not there yet, but he's getting closer. Yeah.
Do you give him the week off, or?
He hasn't done much.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't done much. He'll shoot and lift and get treatment. I mean, that's another thing. You know, we got some guys banged up, so that's another important component of this week. You know, obviously, the primary focus is final exams, but it's, I would say, final exams and getting healthy more than anything else. And then, you know, what Rob said, you know, kind of focus on yourselves and then shift to the next game.
Do you really miss, I don't want to, that's a poor way to word the question. Wieskamp was a really good rebounder as a guard. I mean, is that something that you really miss? or maybe-
Wieskamp was an underrated rebounder. He was. I mean, he even his freshman year, he was a terrific rebounder. Always has been. You know, and that's important for a guy who played on the perimeter a lot. You know, so we've been encouraging Patrick. He had 4 in the last game. You know, you got to be up in that 5-6 range. You know, Wieskamp was in 7. You know, and that, I think that helped him when the pros were looking at him. It's like, you know, this guy makes shots, but he also rebounds, and you know, they need that. I mean, we all do. So, you know, I think encouraging those guys to get those numbers up has been what we've talked about.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Yep.
Fran. Thanks, Fran.
Oh, all right. Maybe he's going to announce something.
Steve, do you have an announcement?
What's that?
Do you have an announcement for us?
I was just gonna tell those of you that are going up there, you'll get an email from me or the guy up in Sioux Falls to let you know where to pick up your pass. Parking is just a free-for-all up there. There's plenty. It's a large parking. There's no problem with parking. It's a big complex. For players, I got requests for Connor, Jordan, and Phillip. Anybody else? And podium, or would you like a more informal setting?
Prefer informal. for me. I would go.
I'll go get them. Steve, come up. They got the chairs. Just come on.
We figure out the time tomorrow?
Time tomorrow, yes. We're gonna do 3:30.
Yes, we're not.
We're gonna do Zoom.